What is up, comic book community? Joe here, finally back after a 3-week YouTube hiatus with another episode of 360 Comics. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for being patient with me. I have had a ton of stuff going on in my personal life, in my work life, in my comic life outside of YouTube. I just had to give YouTube the back seat for a little bit, but I am definitely going to try to be more consistent with some videos in the next coming weeks. Starting off with this video, and today we're going to do kind of a recap of the last month. I've been picking up stuff like crazy at yard sales, at flea markets, in trades, and of course buying collections. And we're going to just do a kind of brief overview of a bunch of the stuff that I've picked up in the last month. And yeah, let me know what you think. Of course, like this video, leave a comment down below. We're going to need some help with the algorithm since we took a break. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, and stay tuned to the end of the video for a couple announcements. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, first up, we'll kick it off with some flea market pickups. And yeah, this book right here was found at a flea market. In fact, the guy had a whole stack, maybe about 25 or 30 books, all ASM, ranging from mostly Silver Age, actually. I think about a little bit more than half of them were Silver Age. A couple Bronze Age ones, including some keys like the first appearance of Man-Wolf and first appearance of Tarantula, and then into some Copper stuff. There wasn't any modern, but the Copper stuff was good. It was an ASM 298, which is that first Todd McFarlane on the title. But again, mostly Silver and Bronze, including this one right here, Amazing Spider-Man number 28, a book that I had not ever owned until picking this up. So this one is staying in the personal collection, which is why I still have it. I bought this collection almost a month ago, and I've sold a bunch of it already, so I can't show all the pieces of it. So I'm going to show this book to represent that collection. And yeah, this is going to be kind of how the video is going to go. In that same, actually at that same flea market, not the same day, I also found this. This is Usagi Yojimbo Daisho. It's one of the hardcover compilations of the original run. And the really cool thing about this, and I was going to pick this up already because they had it at $1. They had all their books at $1. But the thing that really put this one over the edge and made me include it in the video is this little, if I can ever get this page open, there we go, boom, original sketch and signature by Stan Sakai himself. Can't go wrong with that for just $1. You heard that right. They had a bunch of books, no comics. They actually just had books out on the table, and I just happened to spot Usagi there, and I was like, oh, for $1, I'm going to pick this up. Be great for my bookshelf. Little did I know that that was inside there. Very stoked on that. Anyway, another flea market pickup, again, just for $1. Somebody had a bunch of 90s comics for $1 each, and you always got to look through those because there are a few books from the 90s. Think New Mutants 98, ASM 361. Those are first Deadpool and first Carnage. And of course, this book right here, Incredible Hulk number 449, first appearance of the Thunderbolts. They're getting their own movie. They're coming to the MCU as a team. And that movie, I think a lot of people are very, very excited about it. So, yeah, you got to look out for those few and far between 90s books that have some significant value. And if you think about this Incredible Hulk run, most of the books over 400 don't really have much value at all. There's a couple like minor keys, that cool She-Hulk cover. But yeah, this was towards the end of the original Incredible Hulk run, and there's not a lot of books worth more than $1 in there. So every once in a while you find this for a great price, and I'm always going to pick it up for just $1. That is for sure. This last collection was interesting because I didn't actually buy this at the flea market, but I got the guy's phone number at the flea market. He had a bunch of comics, and we exchanged numbers, exchanged information, and he said, I've got some stuff at home that you might be interested. He rolled up, actually this was just this past week, to my area and brought me a bunch of stuff, including a bunch of Star Wars books, some of the early runs and some of the keys from the original Marvel Star Wars run, and a couple Silver Age books as well, including this one. This was definitely the biggest book in the bunch, Iron Man and Submariner number 1. This came out in 1968, kind of as a preview of the ongoing Iron Man solo run, because he was, you know, they had finished up with, or sorry, not finished up with Tales of Suspense, but it became Captain America, a solo run. And Iron Man had been in that run, but they decided in 1968 to give him his own title. Same with Submariner, a character that had been, around since the Golden Age, had reappeared in the Silver Age. It was time for him to have his own title. So this actually predates both Iron Man 1 and Submariner 1, and for that reason, I think this is actually a pretty underrated book. It's a number 1, Silver Age, and the condition on this, pretty gosh darn nice. This one has already been claimed, already been paid for, so it's getting shipped out this week, but I definitely wanted to show that off in this video. Now, that's it for the flea market stuff. We still have the yard sale stuff, the trade that I did, and some collection purchases. So let's get into the yard sale. This first one was really interesting because I was going to walk away from buying this stuff because this guy had a bunch of 80s and 90s stuff in mid-grade. Not something I really want. Not a lot of keys, and even the keys in mid-grade, they're really not worth that much. And I said, you know what, I'm going to pass. It was maybe about 200 books. And he said, would you just take it for $5? We're moving. And I said, okay, yeah, sure. I'll pay $5 for 200 comics. I'll throw them all in the dollar bins. If people want some reader copies of stuff, they can grab them. And if not, I'll bulk it off and probably be able to sell 200 comics for more than $5. So, easy pickup at that price. But he also had this really cool little wall mount piece, one of those canvas ones. It's really small. I usually see these much bigger, but man, do I love this artwork from ASM number 151. John Romita goodness, and classic cover, all that stuff. So not only did I get that for that 200 comic lot of junk, but still 200 comics for $5. This was just one additional dollar. He charged $1 for this. Very happy to have this as a little display piece in my comic room that will be going up as soon as I get that room cleaned up and organized. Moving on to another yard sale, actually from this past weekend. You might have seen the picture that I posted on Instagram about this. This was a box of comics, late 80s and early 90s. Probably about 100 books, and I picked that up for the price of just $50. I asked the guy how much he wanted, and he said, well, it's about 100 books. I was going to do $100 or $1 per book, but if you want to take all of them for $50, you can take all of them for $50, and I was very happy about that. These were the two biggest books by far. They might be like the two biggest books, the two only books that are worth more than $3 or $5, but they're good ones here. We got Uncanny X-Men number 266, the second appearance of Gambit, but it is the chase book for Gambit. Is worth much more than his first appearance, mainly because of chronology of the story as well as the cover. And then this one over here, Amazing Spider-Man number 299, the second Todd McFarlane on Amazing Spider-Man, the first full appearance of Eddie Brock, and the first cameo appearance of Venom. Or these are both controversial books because a lot of people will call this the first appearance of Venom, including Todd McFarlane himself. I call it a cameo in my book, but hey, I'm not here to argue about that. I'm here to talk about how great of a deal this was. $50 for these two books and a bunch of other, cheap 90s stuff. And the great thing about this was the guy let me know. He said his son, who lives about an hour away, also has some comic books and probably would want to get rid of them. So I exchanged numbers, and I'm going to hopefully meet up with his son next time he comes down here to visit and pick up his books as well. Very happy about that. And the guy was really, really nice, and obviously offered me a great price, and he knew the value of this book. He said, first Gambit, I know this is like kind of the book that people want here. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, I'm fine with letting it go. So it's a great deal when people just kind of want to give you a great deal. Anyway, moving on now. That was it for the yard sale stuff, but we're going on to a trade that I made. You probably saw this on Instagram, so I'll be brief with it. This was with James from Mint Hunter Comics. I acquired 3 books from him. One of them was this, first appearance of Spectre in the Silver Age, DC Showcase number 60. This is a book that I've been picking up recently. Got a couple of them already. I'm looking for a really high grade one, though, for my personal collection. I think this is just a great book, pretty underrated in my opinion. But also, there was this book. Now, this one is a big one. For those of you who don't know, this is the first ever comic book appearance of Sonic the Hedgehog. You'll notice it is much smaller than a normal-sized comic book. This is just a standard CGC slab, and this book is, like half the size. This is the fall 1991 Sega, just released by Sega. It wasn't released by a publishing company. Now, this story was reprinted in a bunch of issues of DC Comics in 1991, I believe, as well, or maybe 92, as an insert, as a 16-page insert. That is not this. Obviously, that is full-sized, and you could pull them out of there, but don't get confused with this and that. This is the real deal first Sonic the Hedgehog in comic books. And yeah, this is a spicy 9.8, well over $1,000. This actually had heights or over $2,000, but has since come down. But then the biggest book of this trade was Tales to Astonish 13. Yes, that is early Silver Age for Marvel, early 1960s. And it is the first appearance of Groot. It's not here today because that is off at CGC right now with my Hulk 181 and a few other books getting graded, and there will be an unboxing video possibly as early as this week, but if not, certainly next week, because that was an express order. Anyway, I traded James a long box full of keys as well as a short box, or half a long box. So a long box and a half full of great stuff for him to sell at claim sales. I gave him obviously a little bit of extra value than he gave me because he's got to do the work to sell them. But he needed some inventory. I wanted some big books for my personal collection. Everyone's happy. Go check out James's video. It goes more in depth and shows off all the books that I provided to him. Now we're on to collections. Couple collections that I've picked up. A couple real small ones that I've spent, $20, $40, $60 for, that I'm not really going to touch on. But I did pick up a nice Copper Age collection that had a couple really great books, including Batman number 423. First printing. This is the classic Todd McFarlane cover. Not only that, but there was a Wolverine 1 in there, Wolverine 8, Wolverine 10, so the early Wolverine keys. It actually, I think it had 1 through like 15 and then sporadically up. What else was in that collection? There were a couple other good ones. Oh, there was a copy of Killing Joke first print. Can't go wrong with that book ever. One of the most iconic Joker stories ever. And some other stuff. I ended up paying, I think I paid $120 for the collection, so I got a really good deal. And once again, just like that yard sale, the guy said that he had a friend who had moved out of state. His parents were still here, and his comic collection was still at his parents' house, and he wanted to hook me up with this guy. So I told him, hey, you know what? If you get me that guy, get me in contact with that guy, and I end up buying the collection, I'll throw you some more money, a little finder's fee for that. And he said, that would be great. So hopefully next time that guy is in the area, I can end up going to check out that collection and hopefully, fingers crossed, purchasing it. He said there are lots and lots of boxes. He said a couple dozen long boxes. So that might be a really, really good haul of probably mostly 80s and early 90s stuff, but still, there's still some great stuff in there. So moving on to another collection. It wasn't crazy. It was just a small box of comics. It did have a full run of SpiderMan 2099 in there, which was pretty cool. Including some of the harder to find later issues, like the last issue and the first Venom 2099, all that stuff. But it also had this. And for those of you who don't know, this is Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. And this is a very hard to find variant with this all-white background cover. I'm actually not sure how this variant was attainable. I don't know if this was an early ratio variant from the year 2000, or if this was maybe a mail away or something like that, or maybe a 1 per store. I don't know exactly how this one came to be, and if you know, please put it in the chat below. I'm always up to learn new things about comics from you guys, the community. Let me know if you do know. Anyway, a book that I've been on the hunt for a while. I have a complete run of Ultimate Spider-Man, the entire thing, but I never had this copy. This one is pretty sharp and probably will go off to CGC, because even in like a 9.4, 9.6, it's a couple $100 books, and the $200 book, and the 9.8 pretty sure is over 500. Can't say for sure. I forget exactly, but I want to say it's around like $800. Haven't looked that up recently though, but definitely going off CGC. It's not perfect. Probably not going to get that 9.8, but still great pickup. And with the SpiderMan 2099 stuff in there as well, and a couple other keys. There was some early Spawn, including a Spawn 1. That was an awesome collection. I forget how much I paid for it. I want to say I paid 150, 100. I don't remember exactly. It might have even been less than that. Again, this stuff was all over the last month, and I've been busy as heck. So, on to the last collection that I picked up, and yeah, you probably saw a box of Silver Age comics, no bags, no boards, and I think I posted it with the caption that low grade is better than no grade. This was a long box of 225, 230 Silver Age comics. Some of them super low grade, coverless or cover detached, or returned copies, but fortunately most of them were at least in the 2.5 3.0 range, and some of them were even mid-grade despite not being bagged and boarded and all that stuff. There were some great books in there. Most of them have sold already, including the first Black Panther. This book actually sold already, but the guy is doing a payment plan on it, so I am currently holding on to it until he's paid off. But yeah, this is the first appearance of Kingpin. Black Panther was in there. The first 2 appearances of Polaris was in there. The first appearance of Adam Warlock, what is that, Thor 165. Those were all in there. Bigger keys. I ended up paying quite a bit for that collection, but it was Silver Age stuff that moves quickly, including major keys. If I remember correctly, I think it was $2,800 that I paid for everything. But again, there were a lot of good books, and I don't think there was a single book. There were obviously the junkers, the readers that I priced very low, $5 or whatever, coverless stuff. But out of the complete books, I think like the cheapest one I priced at $15, and the majority of them were $20 and up, just because Silver Age stuff is very, very collectible and harder to find than stuff from the 80s, even if it is in incredibly low grade. That being said, the person who I bought this from got back to me with another collection, and I ended up buying that one too, but I'm going to hold off on that because I still have that whole collection ready to show you in next video. So I'm going to be putting out that video sometime this week. I think I'm going to try to do 2 videos a week for a while. I was doing 3, but again, I've been very busy. So stay tuned for that video coming in the next week or so. A couple of quick announcements before I say my goodbye here today. One, thank you for all the support. I really appreciate it. I have been not on YouTube too much, but if you're still following me, you're still here waiting for videos. Thank you for that. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for following me on Instagram and keeping up with me there, where I do my live claim sales every Friday. And this Saturday, which is May 13th, I will be doing the Lansdale Punk Rock Flea Market. For those of you who don't know, that is an outdoor event in Lansdale, and I'll be set up with my comics, some discounts and stuff like that. So come by if you live in the Philadelphia suburb area. Lansdale Punk Rock Flea Market in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. The week after that, I am doing the 3 Men in a Basement comic swap up in Connecticut. So if you live in Connecticut or within driving distance, definitely come out there. There's going to be tons of vendors set up, tons of great books available. It's just such a fun time, hosted just like King Con, by the community, for the community, and you can't go wrong with those 3 Men in a Basement guys. They are awesome. Anyway, the week after that, hopefully without any rain, we'll be back at Comic Fest. Finally, I've had to reschedule 3 times this spring already. That is Saturday, May 27th at my house in the suburbs of Philadelphia. You can message me on Instagram if you live close enough and want the address. Hope to see you make it out there. So the next 3 weekends are going to be busy, busy, busy. Of course, I will be doing my Friday night claim sales when I can. And if I can't do it, I will probably reschedule it to another night that week. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully you liked it. Tell me the best part about these pickups, because there were a bunch of them. Let me know in the comments down below. Look out for the later video this week about another collection I picked up, and of course that CGC unboxing video that is going to be very, very exciting because there's some big books in there. Anyway, until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.